and welcome to another episode of Bulldog Profiles, the show that allows us to meet and greet some of our new faculty and staff here at RB. I am Kylie Lindquist, Assistant Principal for Curriculum and Instruction, and I'm really excited to be coming to you once again from Studio A of RB TV. And my guest today is Special Education Teacher Lauren Vara. Lauren, so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, when we come to Bulldog Profiles, a lot of our viewers want to know a little bit of a background of our teachers. And so tell us a little bit about, this is not your first teaching job. No. Tell us a little bit about your background in education and what led you to this new experience at RB.
Yeah. My background is in special education. Mm-hmm. I've done grades kindergarten through 8th grade, so I've seen it all. I had the opportunity to interview with you guys and jumped on it as fast as I could and was so grateful when you guys offered me the position. I felt that since I already knew K through 8, that it was kind of like the next best step for me was to continue on for 9 through 12, mm-hmm. See how I can support and implement some things that I've learned throughout the years to the older grades.
Yeah.
And so far I feel like I'm thriving and I love it. So
I love that. That's good. Now you had a unique kind of insight into RB when that interview came around. Tell us a little bit about your connection to Riverside Brookfield.
So I graduated from Riverside Brookfield in 2007.
Look at that.
So I am a Bulldog. Yes, once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog.
Absolutely.
And RB, when I was here, was a wonderful place. I see a lot of familiar teacher faces who are still just as supportive to me now as they were back then. Yes. So it's been a really easy transition, although it's been new. I feel like I'm just right back at home.
Yeah, except we found out before we started the show, this is your first time on RB TV.
This is my first time. I've never been on RB TV before, so this is great.
Right, every Bulldog has to have an experience on RB TV.
Yeah, real Bulldog celebrities.
Absolutely, I love that. So you mentioned the fact that some of the teachers that you had when you were here are also some of now your colleagues. What is that like to have someone who we know how teachers influence students, right? In those formative years. What is that like now working alongside people who were your teachers?
So in the beginning, it was very strange because I look at them as, my teacher still, So I feel like it was an adjustment, kind of switching those roles. You guys have taught me in the past and kind of built a foundation for who I wanted to be as an educator. So now it's kind of taking what they have taught me, what they're still teaching me, but also allowing myself to kind of now teach them as like a newer teacher. Well, not newer, but I have a lot of experience in different things and kind of sharing that knowledge. So it's been a really cool opportunity to collaborate with a different side of my previous teachers.
Absolutely. Who were some of your most memorable teachers when you were here?
Mr. Bonarigo. Best math teacher ever. Can't learn math from anybody else. So he is amazing.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
I had Mr. Dugetti for science, who I actually co-teach with now.
Now that is unique, right? As a special education teacher.
That is fun.
So tell our audience if they're not certain about what that means. What does it mean to be a co-teacher in special education?
So essentially we collaborate, the special education teacher and the general education teacher, we collaborate together on kind of more so my role is how do I make this curriculum accessible to all the learners, whatever their diverse needs may be, whereas the gen ed teacher more so is kind of like the master of the content, so that it still is that point where like he is still teaching me science, refreshing me on things, and then I'm kind of deciding, how are we going to deliver this so that everybody is accessing it in a way that they can learn.
Absolutely.
So that's been...
And that has to be a unique experience. Working as a colleague is one thing, but when you're a co-teacher, you plan together.
Yes.
You create what that classroom is going to look like together.
Yeah.
So has Mr. Dugetti given you any problems? Do we need to stop down there?
He actually does need a talking to. No, he's been great. He's been very welcoming and kind of like a shoulder to kind of go to when, how do I do this or what do I do with this? RB offers, mentors and things. So everybody has been so helpful. And
good.
It's been nice to have kind of like rebuild that relationship with him. And
so it's been a positive return.
It's been a positive return, yeah.
Absolutely.
The building looks different, but I feel like the vibe of we're kind of everybody working together, we're all here to support our students is still
Right.
still very prevalent.
Now, you made a big change coming from an elementary background into a high school background. And a lot of teachers don't get the opportunity to do that because, for example, when I was a teacher, I was certified only in 9 through 12. As a special educator, you have a certification that's much more broad.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest change for you, or kind of what has been a notable change for you, kind of the growing pains of coming into that high school experience after leaving the elementary experience?
I think the relationships with the students is, I wouldn't say like very different, but the way that you're nurturing a child in a elementary level is very different than you would in these like upper grades. But at the same time is very similar because you still have to be aware of, you know, how their emotions are coming into a sense of how they're learning, like being kind of open to kind of what's going on with them to figure out how do we meet your needs. I feel like there's differences in that aspect, like the relationship when you're like a little guy, you know, is like a little bit more like playful, fun. How are we going to learn through that? And then as you get older, still connecting on those relationships, but I feel like it's more of like a closer to like real life. So you're really supporting like, I mean, a lot of decision making and like, how do you still offer choices and things that help a student feel like they're in control of what's going on, but also keeping them safe. So.
Sure. Now, we mentioned co-teaching with Mr. Dugetti, who's in the science department. What other what are the courses? What are the courses that you co-teach here? And we threw you a curveball. I think it may be because you were a Bulldog and we knew you could handle it. But
fine.
You are co-teaching. You're running around with your hair on fire all day.
Yes.
So what are you co-teaching this year?
So I have 3 classes of earth science, 2 with freshmen and 1 with juniors.
Yes.
That one is with Miss Barry, who's another new teacher to RB.
Yes.
And then I'm also co-teaching American literature with Carolyn Tomasek, who is a Bulldog grad herself.
Yes.
So that has also been fun. We actually looked up our pictures in one of the yearbooks and showed our class. Like,
were you here at the same time?
She was a year younger than me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So we don't remember each other, but
yes. But you were here at the same time.
Yeah. So I mean, it's different contents and different people, but the goal is still the same. Like,
as a special educator, how do you stay on top of all of that? Multiple classes, teaching plus a caseload. What is it? How do you manage all of that as one person? Yeah,
I mean, it seems like it's a lot, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. It's been nice because in those 2 classes that I have, juniors, American literature and earth science, I see a lot of them multiple times throughout the day. So I feel like those relationships have really been pretty solid. And I think that I've learned how to really help, implement some of those things throughout those classes, even though they're different contents. Caseload-wise, I see a lot of my students throughout the day. So I think it kind of goes back to like connecting.
Sure.
Connecting and knowing who your students are, and then knowing what the teacher that you're working with's end goal is.
Right.
And kind of just
I love that.
Somehow mashing that all together.
What has been the best part for you about coming back to RB?
Honestly, like just how comfortable I am coming here. I've been in different schools before, and there's like that kind of like time where you're adjusting to get to know things. And like I said before, like it just felt like natural. It's like a natural environment for me. And again, seeing familiar faces, and everybody has been so helpful. So the transition coming has been super smooth. Yeah. Well, we are thrilled to have you back as a Bulldog. I have had the privilege of seeing you teach in a few different settings, and it's been awesome from my perspective. Thank you. So thank you for joining us today. Of course, thanks for having me. And giving us a little bit more of an insight. You said Bulldogs class of 2008? 2007. All right, 2007. Yep. Once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog indeed. Thank you. You can join us anytime. Maybe we'll get you a couple of exposures to RB since it took so long to get your first one. Right. You're welcome back anytime. Perfect. I would love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. And thanks to our audience for joining us and hearing a little bit more about our new special education teacher, Miss Lauren Vara. We hope you'll join us for our next edition of Bulldog Profiles. Take care.